Chosen one. A karmic couple wanted the high priest dead. That's how wild this has gotten. Boy, you truly dodged a missile when you cut that man off. Someone has been observing your life, watching your home, tracking your schedule, not out of longing but out of vengeance. They planned something dark, something meant to finish you completely. But the moment you walked away, their entire scheme collapsed. Your ex thought replacing you would be an upgrade. Instead, they found someone equally broken, equally bitter. Now these two, bonded by jealousy, obsess over you non-stop. They scroll through your posts, study your movements, and fantasize about your downfall while you're out here glowing, healing, winning. Your success burns them. Your peace exposes their misery. Their relationship is built on hating you, a person who has already moved on, and that obsession is about to destroy them, not you. This karmic couple has turned watching you into a full-time occupation. Fake accounts have been created to view your content. Multiple accounts with different names and profile pictures, all designed to monitor you without your knowledge. Login happens from different devices, so you cannot track patterns. Every single thing you post gets studied intensely. Screenshots of everything, saved stories, downloaded photos. An entire digital archive of your life has been built, and the surveillance goes deeper than online stalking. Your schedule is known better than some of your closest friends know it. Which days you work from home, what time you usually leave your house, what coffee shop you stop at, what gym you frequent. Your routine has been memorized so thoroughly that your movements could be predicted before you make them. And here is the terrifying part. Physical following has been happening, not every single day, but enough times that digital surveillance has been confirmed with real-world observation. That time you felt like someone was watching you in the parking lot. That was not paranoia. That was your spirit alerting you to real danger. That moment when you got that eerie feeling driving home and kept checking your rearview mirror, you were not imagining things. Actual following was taking place, multiple cars back, but your intuition picked up on the threat your conscious mind could not quite identify. Your ancestors were sending you warnings through that uncomfortable feeling in your gut. And the obsession goes even deeper into manipulation territory. Mutual friends have been getting questioned, casual conversations that seem innocent but are really intelligence-gathering missions. Where have you been lately? Who have you been seeing? How do you seem? Every answer gets reported back and analyzed like classified information. Your name gets brought up in conversations where it has no business being mentioned. Comparisons get made. Your life gets discussed like it is their business to monitor and control. And the saddest part, some of these mutual connections have no idea they are being used as informants, no idea their casual updates about you are feeding an obsession that has gone far beyond healthy boundaries, no idea they are unknowingly participating in surveillance that has one goal: to find a weakness, to discover a vulnerability, to identify the perfect moment and method to strike. Because make no mistake, all of this watching and tracking and studying is not about missing you or wanting you back. This is about finding the opportunity to hurt you in ways that cannot be traced back to them. Evenings are spent sitting together, going through everything collected. Your social media posts get analyzed for hidden meanings. Attempts are made to figure out who you are dating, who you are talking to, what you are planning. These two have convinced themselves that you are obsessed with them, when the reality is you barely think about them at all. But in twisted minds, every post you make is somehow about them. Every photo you share is designed to make them jealous. Every accomplishment you celebrate is an attack on their peace. What is not understood is that this obsession is eating them alive from the inside. While you are sleeping peacefully at night, scrolling through your pages is happening in their world. While you are out enjoying life with people who genuinely love you, sitting in a car outside your neighborhood is their activity. While you are building a beautiful future, being stuck in the past, plotting revenge for perceived wrongs is their reality. Information gathering to use against you is what is believed to be happening, but really documentation of obsession is what is occurring. Evidence of unhinged behavior is being created. When you were with this person, genuinely loving with your whole heart, building what you thought was a partnership, an entire double life was being lived. Another person existed, maybe even more than one. A full-blown affair was happening, sneaking around behind your back, lying directly to your face with such confidence, making you feel absolutely crazy for questioning what your intuition already knew, gaslighting you every single time your inner voice screamed the truth. But your spirit knew something was off, your ancestors knew, and signs started being given that could not be ignored. Dreams showed you the truth in symbolic form. Gut feelings would not go away no matter how much you tried to rationalize them. Random moments of absolute clarity revealed this person for exactly what existed beneath the mask being worn. And eventually, ignoring it became impossible. The signs were too loud, the evidence is too clear, confrontation happened, or being caught red-handed occurred, or you just knew in your soul that leaving was necessary for your own survival. And when you finally did walk away, when you finally gathered the strength to remove yourself from that toxic situation, that is when the mask fell off completely. That is when the real version emerged from behind the false persona, the version who could not handle rejection of any kind, the version whose entire ego structure was built on controlling others, the version whose fragile sense of self could not survive you choosing yourself over manipulation. Disbelief existed that you actually had the audacity to leave, to say no, to set a boundary and enforce it. That was not supposed to happen in a fantasy world where all the pieces on the board were meant to be controlled. So movement happened straight to the person who was the affair partner, the one who knew about you the entire time and did not care, the one who was willing to be second place, playing in the shadows, as long as eventually becoming first place was the outcome. And when your ex finally made this person the official partner, this new supply thought the ultimate prize had been won, thought victory had been claimed in some imaginary competition. But what really got obtained was a damaged person with a broken ego and an obsession that could not be shaken no matter how hard trying occurred. This new person got someone who compared them to you constantly, every single day, in big ways and small ways. The way you used to handle situations, everything you did became the standard by which measurement and judgment happened. What got obtained was someone who was not really mentally or emotionally present in the relationship because too much energy was going into monitoring what you were doing. Someone performing the role of partner while still being completely in love with the idea of controlling you from a distance. That genuine glow-up energy. That post-breakup transformation that happens when someone was actually holding you back the entire time. Every photo you posted showed the change. Every update about your life was evidence of your progress. Every accomplishment you shared was a reminder that you were winning, without them, in spite of them, because you had the courage to leave. And that truth was absolutely unbearable for fragile egos to accept. That is when the real plot began to take shape. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. When regular manipulation tactics stop working, when someone's spirit is too strong to be controlled through natural means, toxic people turn to supernatural methods, dark magic, spiritual warfare. And that is exactly what this karmic couple did. Working roots against you started happening. Rituals found online or learned from someone else began. Maybe someone who practices this kind of work professionally got consulted. Maybe self-education through videos and books about manipulating energy occurred. Active attempts were being made to manipulate spiritual forces against you. Love spells got cast, designed to make you think about your ex constantly, to create confusion in your mind about whether leaving was right, to send obstacles into your path that would make your new life difficult. Work was happening with photos of you, if any existed. Items that belonged to you got used, if anything was kept. Entities and energies not fully understood got called upon. Offerings got made to forces that should never be contacted. Your name got spoken during rituals performed in darkness. Your name got written on paper, and things got done to it that would make your skin crawl if you knew the details. And in twisted, delusional minds, belief existed that all of this was actually working. Every small inconvenience you experienced got interpreted as proof of power over you. Every moment of struggle got seen as evidence of spells taking effect. Every bad day or moment you felt off got attributed to the work being done against you in secret. Conviction of personal power was so strong that the truth could not be seen. But here is the reality refusing to be accepted. You cannot curse what God has blessed. You cannot bind what the universe has freed. You cannot work magic against someone whose ancestors are standing guard. You cannot send spiritual attacks against a chosen one and expect those attacks to land as intended. Every single spell cast was bouncing back off your spiritual protection like arrows hitting an invisible shield. Every curse sent was being returned to sender by forces that could not be seen. Every negative intention put out was manifesting in their own lives as chaos and destruction instead of yours. Confusion existed about why things were getting progressively worse for them instead of you, why money situations were becoming increasingly unstable, why unexpected problems kept mounting, why the relationship with each other was becoming more toxic daily, why health was declining, why mental states were deteriorating, why everything touched seemed to crumble. Bad luck got blamed, timing got blamed, external circumstances got blamed. Everyone except themselves got blamed. But the truth is simple and unavoidable. When you work dark magic against a chosen one, the universe does not just block those attacks. The universe reverses the energy completely, multiplies the negativity, sends it back to the source with compound interest attached. And experiencing that return was starting to happen in ways that absolutely terrified, but pride would not allow admission. Strange accidents, unexplained illnesses doctors could not diagnose or treat effectively, financial collapse happening faster than response could occur, legal troubles bubbling up from situations thought buried deep enough never to be found. While busy plotting against you, obsessing over you, spending time and energy trying to bring you down, their own lives started crumbling in spectacular fashion. Money problems started hitting hard and fast. Bills thought easily payable suddenly became overwhelming mountains of debt. Opportunities being counted on mysteriously fell through. Income streams depended upon starting drying up without explanation. Scrambling desperately became the new normal. Stress beyond measure, fighting with each other constantly about money. But the answer to why this was happening is simple. When you understand how energy works, you cannot send that much negative energy out into the universe daily and not have it affect every area of life. You cannot spend days plotting someone else's downfall and expect your own path to be smooth. You cannot invest time and resources into trying to hurt another person and not experience lack in your own life. That is not how universal energy works. What you put out always comes back, and nothing but pure hatred, jealousy, resentment, and malicious intent had been put out for sustained time. Now harvesting exactly what got planted was occurring. Job loss might have happened or demotion from positions worked hard to achieve. Business deals might have collapsed that seemed certain. Together, financial strain so severe might have existed that unbearable pressure got put on an already toxic relationship, creating fights that lasted hours, accusations being thrown back and forth, blame being passed around. And instead of recognizing any of this as karma, as direct consequences of energy being put out, blaming external circumstances was probably happening, blaming the economy, blaming others, blaming timing. Anything except looking in the mirror and taking responsibility. Meanwhile, you were over here attracting abundance effortlessly, not because anything was being done to them or thinking about them was happening, simply because you were aligned with your true purpose, because operating from genuine gratitude and inner peace instead of resentment was your reality, because focus on building your own life instead of destroying someone else's was your energy. And the universe always responds to that frequency, something that would eventually come to light and destroy whatever credibility remained, a secret so twisted and evil that when it finally emerged, it would shock everyone who knew them. See, this person you used to be connected to had been involved in situations that were not just toxic. Criminal activity existed, inappropriate connections that crossed every line, and the new partner knew about it. Complicity in covering it up existed. Both were involved in something that involved real harm to someone who could not defend themselves, someone innocent, someone young, someone vulnerable who had no voice and no power to resist or report what was being done. A situation involving a child existed, and whether it was direct physical harm or knowledge of harm happening and choosing to stay silent, or being actively complicit in covering up abuse, involvement at some level existed for both. Guilt of something most people could not even imagine being capable of, both carrying a secret so heavy and so dark that if it ever came to full light, their entire lives as known would end. And that is a major part of why such intense obsession with you existed, not just about ego and control. Genuine fear was motivating actions, so obsession with you was not purely emotional. Strategic elements existed. You represented a threat to freedom, a potential witness to crimes, someone who could expose what had been done and what was being covered up. Either complete silence from you or complete discrediting was needed. Your reputation needed to be destroyed so thoroughly that if you ever did decide to speak up, absolutely nobody would believe a word you said. People needed to think you were crazy, vindictive, obsessed, untrustworthy. That way, any accusations you made could be dismissed as the ravings of a bitter ex with an axe to grind, or in darkest moments, fantasies about an even more permanent solution existed. You needed to be gone, completely removed from the picture, unable to speak up ever, unable to testify if it ever came to that, unable to connect with authorities or share what you knew. And that is why the surveillance, that is why the constant monitoring, that is why the plotting and planning and spiritual warfare, protecting themselves by eliminating the threat you were perceived to be, was the goal, by any means necessary. Now truth was starting to come out in ways that absolutely could not be controlled or contained, no matter how hard trying occurred. People were talking openly now, instead of in whispers. Stories were surfacing from multiple sources. Witnesses who had stayed silent out of fear or uncertainty were finally speaking up, and the narrative worked so hard to construct and maintain was unraveling right before everyone's eyes. Lie by lie, manipulation by manipulation. Remember all those lies told about you to anyone who would listen. All those carefully crafted stories spread around to make them look like victims, and you look like the villain. All that character assassination engaged in to justify terrible behavior and choices. Every single bit of it was coming back to haunt now. The truth was emerging, and it was ugly. It was dark. It was exactly what you had known all along but could not prove until now. People who had believed at first were starting to question everything. People who had given the benefit of the doubt were starting their own investigations. People who had blindly taken sides were starting to hear the other side of the story and realizing being played had occurred. And what these people were discovering was absolutely destroying the false image worked so incredibly hard to create and maintain. Finally realizing that you were not the problem in that relationship, you were not the toxic one bringing chaos and drama, you were not the crazy ex who could not let go, you were actually the healthy one who escaped before getting dragged down even further. You do not have to defend it personally, you do not have to prove it to anyone, you do not have to fight for it or force people to see it. Truth defends itself naturally, truth proves itself without any help. Truth rises to the surface all on its own, no matter how much weight anyone tries to pile on top of it to keep it submerged. So while you had been silent for all this time, quietly healing wounds and building your new life in peace, truth had been working on your behalf behind the scenes, revealing itself gradually in conversations, manifesting in undeniable evidence, showing up in ways that vindicated you completely, without you ever having to say a single word in your own defense. Absolute panic was occurring now. You could feel it in the energy even though contact did not exist, because the story accepted for so long was changing rapidly. The narrative was shifting in a direction that could not be controlled. People were looking differently now, with suspicion instead of sympathy, with judgment instead of understanding, questioning versions of events instead of accepting everything at face value, seeing through manipulation tactics that had worked so well for so long, and absolutely nothing could be done to stop this momentum. Truth could not be threatened into submission the way you had been threatened. Reality itself could not be gaslit into compliance the way your perception had been gaslit. The flow of information and public opinion could not be controlled the way emotions and responses used to be controlled, and that loss of control was utterly terrifying, because control was everything, the whole identity, the primary tool, the favorite weapon, and now it was slipping through fingers like water and nothing existed to grab onto to stop it. The legal system was not playing games anymore. The charges being faced were extremely serious, life-altering serious, the kind that would follow forever, no matter where going occurred or how much time passed, and the evidence gathered was overwhelmingly strong, concrete, undeniable, the kind prosecutors dream about because it makes jobs almost effortless. The more investigators continued to dig, the worse the situation became. New patterns of behavior kept getting found, new victims who had never spoken up before, new proof of things whispered about, but never officially confirmed. All of this evidence was building into a case that was going to result in significant time away, long enough to lose absolutely everything currently possessed, long enough for everyone known to forget or move on, long enough for names to transform from recognized identities into cautionary tales told as warnings about what not to become. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random, and if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. And through absolutely all of this unfolding drama and chaos in their lives, you remained completely unbothered by any of it. People in your life kept trying to tell you what was happening, thinking you would want all the details, thinking you would care deeply about their downfall, thinking you were emotionally invested in watching them suffer after what you went through. But the reality was that you were not. Investment did not exist. Interest did not exist. Curiosity did not even exist. If someone brought it up in conversation, polite listening out of basic courtesy would occur. You might nod at appropriate moments. You might say something brief like, "Wow, that is crazy," or "I hope everyone is okay." And then smooth changing of the subject to literally anything else would happen, because their drama was not your entertainment, their karma was not your concern, their consequences were not your source of satisfaction or vindication. You were genuinely focused on your own life in ways that were healthy and productive, on your own continued growth and evolution, on your own blessings and opportunities. You were traveling to places you had always wanted to see, working on creative projects that excited you, spending quality time with people who truly mattered to you and added value to your life. You were actively pursuing dreams put on hold for too long while dealing with their nonsense and chaos. You were discovering parts of yourself that had been lying dormant when trying to shrink yourself down to a size small enough for them to handle without feeling threatened. You were finally expanding into the absolute fullness of who you were always meant to be. And none of that had anything whatsoever to do with them or their situation or their legal problems or their karmic consequences. That complete and total indifference is actually the ultimate power move in any situation like this, because obsessed people desperately need to matter to their target, need to be thought about constantly, need to occupy significant space in mind and heart and daily consciousness. Feeding off that energy like vampires feed off blood is what happens, and you had given absolutely nothing, not your anger or your hatred, not your satisfaction at their downfall, not your vindication or your I told you so energy, not even your simple curiosity about what was happening. You had completely removed them from your consciousness in every possible way. Strangers to you now is what existed. People you used to know in another lifetime who turned out to be people you never really knew at all, beneath carefully constructed masks. Now you are starting to understand how protected you have been this entire time. How many attacks got blocked, how many plots got disrupted, how many times danger came close but could not touch you. Your ancestors working, spirit guides guiding, angels intervening, universe rerouting, every bit of negativity sent your way. You are realizing every time you felt off, every bad day, every hard moment was not their magic working. It was your protection activating. Those moments when you randomly decided not to go somewhere, divine guidance steering you from harm. Times when plans fell through and you were frustrated, universe closing doors attempted to be used to access you. Nights you could not sleep and felt anxious for no reason. Your spirit sensing danger and keeping you alert. You were never alone, never unguarded, never actually at risk, even when feeling vulnerable. Now you can look back and see the hand of the divine in everything. How you got away when you did, how you went no contact even though it was hard, how you blocked even though feelings still existed, how you maintained boundaries even when you wanted to fold. All of that was divine assistance, supernatural strength you did not know you had. The universe saying, not this one. This one is mine, this one is protected, this one has purpose, and you will not stop it. Their magic never stood a chance, their plots were doomed from the start, their obsession was always going to be their downfall. Because you cannot come against someone walking in divine purpose and expect to win, cannot attack someone covered by grace and expect weapons to prosper. Universe will always protect its own, and you are its own, always were. Always will be. So let us bring this entire journey back around to where we started, full circle. Somebody was literally watching your home, standing outside your property, plotting your complete downfall, planning your total destruction. A karmic couple united by nothing except burning hatred of you. Working dark magic in the shadows, spending money not even possessed, investing precious time and energy that should have been going elsewhere, all of it directed at one single purpose, to bring you down, to dim that beautiful light you carry, to stop the progress you were making, to end the story you were writing. And what actually happened? Self-destruction occurred, completely, utterly, irreversibly. Legal trouble is where sitting is happening right now. Exposure for the world to see is what occurred. Life-changing consequences that will follow until last breath is what is being faced. You dodged a missile, chosen one. Not a bullet, not an arrow, not a rock. A full-blown, heat-seeking, guided missile that was aimed directly at your life, your reputation, your future, your divine purpose, and it missed. It completely missed. Not because luck happened and moving at the right moment occurred, but because protection by forces that could not be seen and would not be understood even if they could existed. Not because poor aim happened or miscalculation of trajectory occurred, but because the universe itself stepped in and redirected the weapon of mass destruction right back to where it came from, back to the source. You did not have to do a single thing to make this happen. Fighting back did not have to occur. Plotting revenge did not happen. Cursing them did not take place. Exposing them did not need doing. Even wasting a single word speaking names did not occur. All you had to do was exactly what you did. Just keep being authentically you. Keep healing those deep wounds. Keep growing into your power. Keep shining that unstoppable light, and your light alone was powerful enough to defeat all of their combined darkness. Boy, did you dodge a massive missile cutting this person off when you did. Boy, did the universe show up for you in ways you did not even know you desperately needed. Boy, did your ancestors come through with that heavy-duty spiritual protection. Boy, did your courageous decision to leave, to walk away, to choose yourself over toxicity, turn out to be the single best decision of your entire life. Because if staying had occurred even one more day, being in that car when it crashed would have been your reality. Being caught up in those criminal charges being faced would have happened. Being implicated in crimes and dragged down into investigation would have occurred. Being pulled down into their dark pit with no way to climb out would have been the outcome. But that did not happen. You were not there. You were not involved. You were not involved. You were not destroyed. Because when it mattered most, you chose yourself. You chose your peace. You chose your future. You chose life. And now look at where you stand today, here on the other side of that nightmare, completely whole, genuinely healed, truly free, abundantly blessed, thriving in ways that seem absolutely impossible to people who know the full story of what you went through. You are the walking testimony that everyone needs to hear, the living proof that divine protection is not a myth, the undeniable evidence that the universe absolutely protects its chosen ones, the powerful example that shows everyone watching that when you honor yourself and when you trust your intuition, even when it is hard, when you walk away from toxicity, no matter how much it hurts in the moment, the universe rewards that kind of courage with blessings that go beyond any measure you could imagine. The karmic couple wanted the high priest dead, literally wanted you removed from this earth. But look at you now. You are more alive than you have ever been in your entire life. Complete destruction was the goal. Broken beyond repair was the intention. But here you stand, more whole than ever before. Every piece put back together stronger than the original. Defeat was what was desired. On your knees, begging for mercy. But you are more victorious than you have ever been. Standing tall, head high, crown straight, the high priest lives on, the chosen one continues to thrive, the one targeted for complete elimination is the one still standing strong while downfall happens in spectacular fashion. And that is not coincidence, that is not luck, that is not even good karma, that is divine order playing out exactly as it should, that is cosmic justice serving itself. That is what happens when heaven decides to protect its most valuable investment. And you, chosen one, you are one incredible investment that is paying eternal dividends. So walk forward from this moment, knowing deep in your soul that you are completely untouchable to people like that. Walk forward with the absolute understanding that your protection is permanent, not temporary. Walk forward, trusting with everything in you that anyone who comes against you is actually coming against forces beyond comprehension. Walk forward in the full knowledge and complete confidence of exactly who you are, a chosen one, a protected one, a blessed one, a victorious one, someone who dodged a deadly missile without even breaking stride, someone who was specifically targeted for total destruction but ended up elevated instead, someone who was meant to die but is living the absolute best life. That is you. That is your powerful story. That is your undeniable testimony. Own every word of it, celebrate every moment of it, and keep on shining that light so incredibly bright that anyone who even thinks about plotting against you goes completely blind before finishing the thought.